Today we are tackling this mess under here. All these wires, the stereo, as you can see, I'll plug it in and turn on the car. Turns on. Nothing comes on. So this stereo is dead, and we are now replacing it with this new one. Whenever working on anything electrical in your car, your first step should always be to undo the battery. All right, now that the battery is disconnected, our next step, we're gonna pull out the stereo from its spot, and we're going to unplug the wiring harness along with any other cables that may be attached. So here's our wiring harness. It's all color coordinated for different things throughout the car. These wires over here on the side, the colored ones, are usually for speakers. And we've got our antenna wire, our ground wire, our accessory to keep the memory, and then our power wire. Here's our new wiring harness. You can see a lot of the colors almost match up. Okay, so the main tools we're going to use today are wire strippers. We also have a wire cutter at the end, and electrical tape, and some heat shrink tubing. So our next step, we're going to go in and we're going to cut these wires very carefully so that we know which wires to match up to the next ones. Since most wiring harnesses are pretty universal, they will all usually have the same colors and color combinations on them. So I like to keep a little bit of the old wires still attached before I cut them off, so you can see here. So that way I know which one to hook up to which wire when I actually start wiring them. So from here, I'm going to start with this one, purple with the black line. Has a nice little end cap on it for me. I'm going to twist the wires up to make them easier to work with. And I'm going to find the purple wire with the black line, which is the right rear. From here, I'm going to follow it all the way down to the main wire. I'm going to cut that main wire. And in my case, my wires aren't quite going to reach all the way, so I'm having to add in some extra wire in between. So I'm taking about a foot of extra wire. I'm going to strip down both ends with my wire strippers. Ugh. There. Got both ends stripped. And we're going to take the wire that runs to my speakers. We're going to strip this one as well. Okay. Now I'm going to take my speaker wire, twist the wire so it's easier to work with, take my extra wire that I'm adding in. I'm first going to take a length of my heat shrink tube, using about an inch, maybe a little bit over that. I'm going to take these wires, set them next to each other, twist them together. You should solder your wires together, but I'm going to be redoing this whole speaker system in the near future anyway. So I'm going to take my heat shrink tube, slide it on. Okay, after adding on my heat shrink tubing, I came back with a little bit of electrical wire, or electrical tape, and went over the wires just to add a little bit of weatherproofing since this is an open Jeep. So I'm going to go ahead and take the other end of my cable and attach it to the matching one. Again with another piece of heat shrink. So for this, since it's closed, I'm going to slide on heat shrink first, slide it back, take my wires, twist them up. Again, soldering your wires will leave you with a much better and lasting connection, but I don't quite need that. And slide the heat shrink back over the wires. Got heat shrink over the wire. And come back with our length of tape. And we're going over, starting past the end, and we're gonna wrap back over the heat shrink, just leaving that extra weatherproofing. So here it is. All I'm basically doing is matching up one wire to the same one on the new connector, and then matching that wire up to the ones existing in the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with the rest of them. I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've got my harness all wired up, as you can see back here, all those nice wires. I had to leave these undone because I don't have front speakers. Those are the ones that they run to. But we're gonna take my wires, feed them through the hole of the stereo, and plug them right in there. Take that, and I've got an amplifier in the back. Gonna run my cables to the amp. And then slide the new radio right into place. And there is your stereo replacement. Thank you for watching.